What will be Master Duel's effect on the Yu-Gi-Oh market as a whole? Now this might be mind-blowing, but this channel at one point made a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh market videos, yeah. We talked about speculating into cards, collecting cards, investing, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, this channel lately, the past 2 weeks or so, has all been about Master Duel. So now we're going back to those roots and we're gonna talk about the collector, evil investor, speculation type of angle, let's say, for this game, because I'm still very, very into that. First, let me preface this by saying, if you speculate in cardboard, know that you are being part of something very risky. And so if you are throwing money at stuff you can't afford to lose, stop. Also, you shouldn't be listening to a random dude in his 20s when it comes to your finances. So why did I upload less and less? Now, I did actually predict this last year, or was it a year and a half ago now? I don't even know. I did predict I would upload less when your market would be going down. And the reason is simple. There's just less to talk about. Overall, old school cards, they had their peak, I want to say in March, April-ish 2021, and then they started cooling off, which was relatively predictable because of a variety of reasons. We all knew that there was speculative mania, Logan Paul break, with the Pokemon stuff, and then it started cooling down there, Yu-Gi-Oh started heating up a lot, but at one point your market needs to somewhat go back to a normal, to a mean. So that has been happening. And of course, when that happens, there's just nothing to talk about. Like, there's no new all-time high sale, there's no crazy article, there's no crazy influencer buying some new card. There's just not much hot stuff to talk about, and so obviously I'm gonna upload less. Beyond that, proper financial lessons, or like ideas that really matter, scarcity, demand, how do these, correlate with other markets and all that stuff, is really simple. So if you go back to my catalog of old videos, you'll notice it's a lot of the same stuff. And after a while, I just got sick of repeating the same thing over and over. You had like 80% people who got it and who are like, yeah, these are the correct things to be thinking about. Yeah, you shouldn't overexpose yourself. Yeah, you should be, taking profits when there's a run up, but you can still keep some of the cards you like, buy cards you like, blah, blah, blah. All of these lessons. But if they come back again and again and again and again, it just gets boring. Beyond that, you also have the 20% of flaming idiots who just kept on shouting and disagreeing. And I'm like, who am I still making the video for? The 80% who just agrees already, or the 20% who will keep on shouting? I'm like, they'll just learn their lesson the hard way, and they did. So for that reason, the upload frequency of such videos has gone down. But with that being said, now we clearly have some new hype, and so now it's time to make another video. So what will Master Duel do to the market? In my opinion, in the short term, it will mostly impact the prices of playable cards. So there's like, in my opinion, two major categories in trading cards as a whole. You have the stuff that people play with, and you have the stuff that people collect. Now, within those, there's a billion more little things we talk about on this channel all the time. You can go to my old videos and check them all out. But that is like the major categories. Cards people play with is like the newest set, BODE, and your whatever the new set is, I even forgot, Chaos something something. You have all of those stuff. People are gonna buy those cards and they're gonna put them in their deck, and that's the end of the story. On the other end of the spectrum, you have stuff like prize cards that you can't even play, like the world's prize cards. You have like old LOB stuff that is, the good cards are banned and the bad cards are just to be put in a binder or PSA graded stuff, right? Like this WP11 Alligator Sword. Love this card, one of my favorite gems. Clearly this isn't playable. I can't put this slab in my deck. It doesn't even fit physically, but I really like it. So this is in that other category, that pure collecting card category. So in the short term, I think Master Duel will only really affect the playable cards, because the way I see it is Master Duel suddenly pulled in a lot of people again into the franchise. A chunk of those people will just leave, right? Because they play and they're like, I don't like this new combo shit. I don't like modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Another chunk says, oh, I really, really like Yu-Gi-Oh. I keep on playing Master Duel and that's good enough for me. And the final chunk, and this is the most important one here, I really like Yu-Gi-Oh again. This Master Duel stuff is really fun. But I also want to play with my real cards again. And so they go online. They go on TCG Player, link in the description. If you need to buy cards, use my link so I get a little kickback of that. They go to TCG Player or any other online place where they buy cards, or even their local game store. And they start buying cards again because now they want to play the game for real again. Those types of people obviously are now an increase in demand for cards. Those types of people don't necessarily then go, oh, and not only that, I'm also gonna buy a PSA graded Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now those exist, but they are so in the minority, they're like the 1% of the 1%, that I don't think in the short term it will be a major impact. I do think that, you know, just modern staples, those will be moving up. And we're already kind of seeing that. Not, you know, not in a knee-jerk big reaction, but a lot of cards I now look at, I'm like, damn, this shit really went up, huh? Especially cards like we saw Max C. I think a lot of people are suddenly like, oh, they're legal in Master Duel, so I'm gonna buy them in case they now, you know, become legal in the TCG. Along those lines, we saw that. Of course, that was also just ban list speculation. But I noticed just a lot of things that are good in Master Duel suddenly going up in price. Like we saw some Striker stuff also going up. We saw some Eldritch stuff going up. Again, also because of the ban list. So it's kind of hard to see the trends really coincide there. It's very obvious why this would happen, right? However, I think in the medium to long term, it will also impact prices of the more collectible side. And that is because what Master Duel has shown me is that there's actually a very large amount of people who still remember the franchise and who still love the franchise, who aren't actually currently active in that community. And that is really interesting to see. I knew they existed, obviously. We've been talking about those people for years on this channel. But the fact that this game, Yu-Gi-Oh as a whole, could go into the top 3 of Twitch, like Twitch, the biggest gaming streaming platform, and a Yu-Gi-Oh card game would be in the top 3 of most viewed at certain points. Fucking 30,000, 50,000, 80,000 people watching a card game being played. That is nuts. That is absolutely incredible. And that has shown me that there's just a lot of fucking Yu-Gi-Oh lovers out there who haven't shown it in years. And so the fact that Master Duel, first of all, linked them back into the franchise, but also more normalized being interested in that franchise, again, I don't think that leads to people now suddenly speculating in the old school graded, in the price cards and so forth. But I do think it is a very good sign that my initial thesis, which is people will buy rare old collectible cards to revisit their childhood, will play out. Like, I am more confident in that now than I was before. So overall, that's interesting. I also think, and this is even more interesting, I think, because I think the points we've discussed so far have been pretty obvious, but I think there's a point even between that. I think the market for old school playable nostalgia cards will also be impacted. So again, this is kind of in the middle. You know, here we have the pure playable cards. Eldritch, Sky Striker, Tri Brigade, blah, blah, blah. All of those cards. Access Code, Lightning Storm. And then here we have the graded LOB price cards, all of those things. Here in the middle, we have like, oh, Ultimate Rare Allure of Darkness. Oh, Toon World, Toon Mermaid, those aren't playable, but like Charge of the Light Brigade Secret Rare. All of those cards that you can slam into nostalgia decks and can pimp out, I think will also regain interest. Because suddenly, and maybe this is like a really personal thing, I was building toons on Master Duel and I saw those cards again and I was like, damn. I really, really want to play this weird shit deck in real life. And I'm able to, you know, maybe max it out or getting it close to maxed. And I think there will be people like that as well. Like, to give you an example, like I'm playing toons right now. Yeah, I know. Really fucking shit. And like, I have these Toon Mermaids, the original Magic Ruler ones here. And I'm like, this is just fun. Like the fact that I can rebuild in real life this nostalgia deck and it kind of sucks ass, but I can like max rarity in it and it's fancy. I think that will also be a thing. So it's not just like, you know, BODE access code Appaloosa type of cards. And it's not just in the longer term than the original collectible cards. I also think there's something to be said for the playable but still just very nostalgia-based, collectible yet playable type of cards. That's somewhere there in the middle. And so I think it'll work out like short-term playable, medium-term those types of cards, long-term collectors types of cards. And it's interesting how that, you know, chronologically that makes a lot of sense as well. So yeah, overall, I'm very hyped. I really like Master Duel. I really like still collecting. Again, when we had that run-up, I was still buying and selling. I made sure that I took out enough profit so that I couldn't lose anymore. You know, I made videos about that as well. Just taking out the base I put in so that even if everything went to zero, so to speak, I couldn't lose anymore. I talked about that. I'm very happy I did that. Now that everything is down, I have still been like looking into stuff again. I'm like, this card here, I really want, and the price is down enough where I'm like, okay, this is starting to get more interesting again. So I'm also still back into that. I'm still also selling some, of course, but it's like the lower tier stuff, you know, that I'm getting rid of. People are still interested in that though. It's really interesting. Like the liquidity on PSA 10 first edition best card ever is obviously gonna be lower because there's not that many people who have like 5 figures to spend on a card. It's just there's less of them. But like the light played version of some of these cards are still moving very easily, even though it's like slightly lower prices, obviously, but they're still moving because people are able to afford that and they're able to put them into decks. So it's been very interesting to see how that plays out. Overall, I don't know. I think Master Duel is good. I think the market's longer term gonna do well. But again, be very careful. If you're speculating in cards, I truly hope you have a nest egg in real assets as well. I hope you're not just going to the moon, get rich quick kind of BS, crypto kind of lifestyle, ball-in type of deal with purely in cards. That doesn't feel like a good strategy. I hope you're safe out there. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.